Right, let's jump straight in. Are you feeling, well, completely overwhelmed by the thought of taking the GED Social Studies test? Like, do you look at those massive brick-like history books and just want to run in the exact opposite direction? Honestly, I totally get it. But stop right there, because today we're going to completely demystify this whole exam for you. In this explainer, we're giving you a bulletproof blueprint to take your confidence and your score from absolute 0 all the way up to a 200. We're breaking the content down, making it super logical, and showing you exactly how to conquer this test without, losing your mind in the process.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. 1. Scope of the test. 2. Not about memorization. 3. Core social studies skills. 4. Question, technique, show work. 5. Main keys to remember. And finally, 6. Final answer key.
Let's start with Section 1. Scope of the test. Knowing the battlefield. First things first, getting a handle on the exact definition and scope of this 70-minute test is literally the fastest way to drop your anxiety levels right out of the gate. You're not walking into some big, scary unknown. There are very specific boundaries to what they can actually ask you. Get this, half of your exam, a massive 50%, is focused entirely on civics and government. That means understanding how the US government works, the branches of power, citizen rights. That is your absolute biggest priority. Then 20% is US history, 15% is economics, and the final 15% is geography and the world. When you know this exact breakdown, you can focus your precious study time exactly where it counts the most.
Now, you might be looking at that scoring scale going all the way up to 200 and stressing out. Don't. You absolutely do not need to be perfect. 145, that is your magic number. You just need to reach that golden 145 threshold to pass, earn your credential, and get right on with your career or college plans. Moving right along to Section 2, not about memorization, the biggest GED myth.
Listen, we need to completely debunk a myth right now, because it causes an incredible amount of unnecessary stress for adult learners everywhere. This right here is a direct quote from the actual creators of the test, the GED testing service. They explicitly state, the social studies test is not a memorization test. Let that sink in for a second. That is huge news. You do not need to memorize hundreds of historical dates, you don't need to memorize country capitals, and you definitely don't need to know the exact year some specific historical battle was fought.
So, instead of cramming your brain with dates and capitals, what do? Well, this test is really all about mastering reading comprehension and data interpretation. It's a skills-based test, right? Success here comes from applying logic, interpreting the info they provide you, and drawing conclusions. Think of yourself as an investigator analyzing evidence, not some walking human encyclopedia.
All right, on to Section 3, Core Social Studies Skills, the tools for success.
So if you aren't memorizing isolated facts, what specific tools do you actually need in your tool belt? Well, you'll need to know how to calculate mean, median, and mode. And yes, I know basic math concepts actually show up on a social studies test. You'll also need to effortlessly read charts and graphs, understand basic economic principles, stuff like supply and demand, identify cause and effect in history, and draw logical conclusions from text passages. Master these core concepts, and you are going to be in incredible shape.
Let's dive into Section 4, Question, Technique, Show Work, Modeling the Blueprint.
This right here is the absolute core of today's explainer. We're using a super structured instructional framework. Question, technique, and show work. We're going to take those skills we just talked about, break them into bite-sized parts, and tackle real practice examples. Okay, here's our first practice question, drawn directly from the test's math requirements. What is the mean of the congressional sessions 102 to 107? Now, when you see a chart full of numbers and a question like this, do not panic. And hey, remember, you're actually allowed to use a calculator on the social studies test.
So the crucial point here is knowing the step-by-step technique to find an average. Step 1, identify the exact data for those requested sessions on the chart. Step 2, add those specific numbers up and then divide by the total number of items you just added together. Step 3, simply round your answer to the nearest tenth, just like they asked. It's really just a straightforward formula applied directly to the visual data right in front of you.
Okay, let's look at practice question number 2. Which of the following events succeeded the telegraph? This is a classic timeline question. It tests your chronological reasoning, but, and here's the best part, you don't actually need to know the year the telegraph was invented. The answer is literally sitting right there in the graphic.
Let's look at the technique and show the work. See how simple this can be? Step 1. Just locate the word telegraph on the timeline provided. Step 2. Because the word in the question is succeeded,
which is just a fancy way of saying came after, you simply look at the very next item to the right on the timeline. Step 3. Select that answer. Boom. It's purely about reading the graphic from left to right and making logical connections based on the vocabulary. And this brilliantly illustrates our next core competency. We're bringing up a map of the Eastern Hemisphere to practice that 15% geography requirement we talked about earlier. Now, I know a lot of students get instantly overwhelmed by complex, shaded maps, but honestly, it all comes down to understanding the tools the map gives you.
Here is the technique for absolutely dominating map questions. Step 1. Find the compass rose for your basic directions. You know, north, south, east, west. Step 2. Locate the legend or key. Think of a map legend perfectly like a dictionary. It tells you exactly what those patterns, colors, and symbols actually mean. Step 3. Match the symbols and colors from the legend directly to the regions on the map itself. That's the whole shebang.
All right, now it's your turn. Here's a take-home practice question for you to actively engage with right now. According to the map, what climate region covers the northernmost part of Russia and Asia? Go ahead and pause if you need to, look at the patterns, check the legend, and lock in your guess. I promise I'll give you the answer at the very end of this explainer. Moving to Section 5, Main Keys to Remember, your exam day checklist.
Before we reveal that map answer, let's consolidate everything you've learned into your ultimate exam day checklist. First up, don't panic over facts. If you see a really difficult historical name or date, don't sweat it. The answer is probably hiding right there in the text. Second, and guys, this is absolutely crucial, read the questions first before you read the dense passage. That way you know exactly what you're actually looking for. Third, eliminate the obvious wrong answers. It drastically increases your odds. And finally, always trust the visual data in the charts and graphs. The numbers won't lie to you.
And finally, Section 6, Final Answer Key. Did you get it right? Okay, it's time to fulfill my earlier promise. Let's reveal the answer to our take-home map practice question. The correct answer is cool humid. If you look closely at the northernmost part of Russia and Asia on the map, you'll see these diagonal blue lines. By matching that specific pattern straight over to the map legend, it aligns perfectly with the cool humid box. See? It's just matching visual patterns, plain and simple.
So, there you have it. You have the blueprint. You know the exact scope of the test, you know the core interpretation skills you need to focus on, and you know the powerful technique of breaking down those questions and showing your work. The only question left is, are you ready to go from 0 to 200? Get out there, start practicing those chart and map skills, and totally crush the GED Social Studies test. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer.